Prayer's kind of an odd thing to me. Like, why do it? God's supposed to know everything about the world, and he's also supposed to know everything about you and me. He says that he knows every hair on our head, but he wants us to communicate with him in prayer. It seems kind of counterintuitive. So why do it in the first place? And then if you want to do it, how do we actually do it? Hey, I'm Logan, and this year I'm reading through the Bible with you with the hopes that we can grow in Christ together. And today is day 100. Woo! But I thought it would be fitting on this day, as we've been reading a lot, to maybe hit the brakes for a moment and look at what we read today and think about how we can pray better. And prayer is a really kind of challenging topic to talk about, I think, because it's supposed to be such an intimate thing. Jesus says to go into your room and close the door and not let anyone see you. Don't babble on like the pagans do. But I do think there's lessons, especially in the book of Psalms, that can teach us about prayer. So the first thing that I wanted to say when you're wondering how to pray is to just start. We see David, and these are in 3 of the Psalms we read today. In Psalm 140, he says, "O Lord, rescue me from evil people. Protect me from those who are violent." Psalm 141, "Lord, I am calling to you. Please hurry. Listen when I cry to you for help." Psalm 142, "I cry out to the Lord. I plead for the Lord's mercy." And all of these Psalms, which are kind of David's prayers, he just starts. He just starts with what's on his heart. But then the next thing that he does is he always remembers who God is. So he'll start praying, and then he'll remember who God is. Like in Psalm 140, he says, "I listen to you, Lord, you are my God. Listen, O Lord, to my cries for mercy. O sovereign Lord, the strong one who rescued me. You protected me on the day of battle." So step one, just start. Just talk to God. But then I want you to also remember who God is. And furthermore, I want you to remember what God has done for you. And maybe you're at this point where you're like, well, I don't feel like God's done anything for me. I would challenge you on that. We live in a beautiful world. Like, nature is objectively a pretty beautiful thing. So God has given you a planet that has water and food and air that we can breathe. He's allowed you to stay alive to this point. Maybe he's blessed you with health to this point. So start looking at what God has done. God challenges his followers to do this continuously throughout the Old Testament. He says, "I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that brought your ancestors up out of the land of Egypt." To many of these people, it is history that happened hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. Yet God is still challenging them to remember their history, because when we look at what God has done, we're more encouraged that he can do it again. And then finally, I want you to ask, then listen. A lot of times in prayer, we think of it kind of like a grocery list. Well, I'll check this off, I'll check this off, I'll check this off, I'll check this off. But someone wiser than me once told me that I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I should be listening twice as much as I speak. In fact, the book of James says, be quick to listen, slow to speak. So that is my kind of basic beginner. Let's just start praying. So we're just going to start praying. We're going to go to God. We're going to remember who he is. We're going to remember what he's done. And then we're going to ask and listen. I hope this encourages you and builds your faith. If it does, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. I'll be back here tomorrow for more on reading the Bible in the year.